Hello everyone, this is Erik, the Asian movie enthusiast, and this is my review of Violence at Noon, a Japanese drama from 1966 that was directed by Nagisa Oshima. So here's the plot synopses from both the Criterion Collection and Wikipedia. This concerns the odd circumstances surrounding a horrific murder and sexual assault spree. In a twist, the film is as much about the two women who protect the violent man, his wife and a former victim, as it is about him. Containing a wealth of inventive widescreen compositions, this coolly fragmented character study is a mesmerizing investigation of criminality and social decay. After housemaid Shino is attacked and tied up and her employer assaulted and murdered, it turns out that Shino and the intruder, the serial killer Eisuke, are from the same rural village, and Shino pretends not to be sure about his identity. But with the police on her track, she travels to Osaka to meet Mrs. Kura, Eisuke's current wife. So it's a pretty intriguing plot to this one. And I guess the first thing to point out is that this male lead, really bad guy, right? You could tell from the plot synopsis alone, really bad dude. And he's known in the film as the High Noon Attacker. And the event at the beginning of the movie is his 11th official crime, but there are likely more that are unreported, and even worse, it's the first time he's actually murdered someone, so he's becoming even more dangerous. And apparently, from what I've read, this character is loosely based on a real serial killer from Japan back in the day. Now, judging by what I've said so far, you may be concerned that Violence at Noon is an exploitation movie, and they could have gone that route, but that's not the case, all right? It's not nearly as sleazy or violent as you might assume. It could have been similar to some of Koji Wakamatsu's earlier films, which get pretty nasty, right? And it could have been a dark thriller, about a nasty killer and, yada yada, and the depiction of his crimes. But not the case about this movie. Oshima chose to primarily take the high road, the classy road in this case. There are a few dodgy moments. It's not all clear sailing for you, but I think most viewers could watch this and not have to turn the film off. We'll put it that way. It's more focused on the rural town where this guy came from and the two women who are kind of our lead characters, actually. Strong focus on the two female characters, and they eventually become the heart and the soul of the movie as it rolls along. So Violence at Noon explores the story from the woman's perspective primarily. And there's a lot of conflict and interaction through the flashbacks and other areas in this small town where the killer came from. There's this subplot of a guy who is obsessed with killing himself, similar to one of the characters in Japanese Summer, Double Suicide, which I reviewed a few months ago. You could see some links to some of Oshima's other films in this for sure. But the most interesting part of the movie, in my opinion, is the final third of the film, where the interaction between the two women intensifies, and they have discussions on whether or not they should expose this horrific criminal, because their feelings are getting in the way of doing what's right. And it seems kind of ridiculous based on the premise, but the way it plays out, pretty interesting. And you're not really sure how this movie's going to end. I wasn't, during the final stretch, I'm like, is this guy going to get away? What, are the ladies going to get arrested for, assisting him? Or I didn't know what was going to happen. So it was pretty interesting. Visually speaking, this is very stylishly shot in black and white. And that's how its presentation is. And there's a lot of natural sunlight in this film. Really quite noticeable. Lots of natural sunlight in this. Very bright movie, which is quite odd given its dark premise. There's also a very weird fact about this film's editing. I'm not going to tell you about it, but after you watch the movie, look up the editing facts on either the Criterion release or even Wikipedia has some facts for you. And I read about this before rewatching the movie, so I was specifically paying attention to the editing. It didn't distract me as much as I thought it would, So yeah, let me know what you thought about the editing in this movie. And I thought it was just so nicely made, like so well made, that this kind of oddball editing technique didn't really distract me much. So let me know what you think about that. And yeah, this is just a very good quality flick with a little bit of an edge, but it's still classy enough to where I can recommend it to most people. Violence at Noon is a good choice for you, especially if you want, or you have an interest in Japanese films from the 1960s. And yeah, this is good. It's currently available on the Criterion Channel, as well as physical media. I have the DVD set, the Eclipse Series 21, Oshima's Outlaw 60s, it's called. So if anybody out there has seen this one, let me know what you think. And as always, I'll see you next time.